Hello again, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Can't Wait. Sounds terrible, where things are perhaps a little less terrible for the parents on this pod. We are brought to you by Cinemax, the official cable channel of the Illinois House Democrats. But more on that later. That's Eleni. She's back from her mandated Grecian exploration. Patrick, Rachel, producer Grace, behind the glass, spinning the dials, pressing the buttons. And Eleni has a little pep in her step team now that the little rascals are back at school. How does it feel?
Well, I'll tell you that swearing at your children is usually frowned upon. So anyone who had to deal with double morning drop off today may have heard some select choice words coming out of my mouth. So luckily here at CPS, our bar is low on parent-child treatment. So yeah, it's been great. We're already looking at
That is a
boarding school
plus.
options. Yeah, we'll see how this goes, guys. It's been a great 2 days.
You know, our president of the United States went to boarding school.
I mean, and he
He became president.
probably got C's for grades, which is all I can hope for my kids right now.
Hey, summa cum satisfactory, something to shoot for. So, lots of little kids are back at school. Parents all over Chicago feeling a little bit of relief for a few hours a day until they start getting their many, many days off for Teacher Institute days and other random holidays. And the first day of school for Chicago public schools, celebrated by various CPS officials and the mayor of the city of Chicago, Brandon Johnson. Even though CPS is facing, as the Tribune reported, serious financial uncertainty, CPS is considered only 70% funded under the state's funding formula, and they decided to put pressure on lawmakers. The school board would approve a budget that includes $150 million in unconfirmed state money. Eleni, sounds like a formula for success. Talk about getting a C.
Yeah, I think that's the par for the course when it comes to Springfield's way and the state's way and the city's way and CPS's way of finding solutions to monetary issues. I think we will see how this shortfall plays out in the coming months as we saw CPS or the school district put out some pressure for the state to fill the gap, and some interesting commentary coming from our legislators as to what they will and will not do. I think the governor has backpedaled away from trying to fill that void as well. So I think while it is surprising, it is also par for the course and just another story with the same ending every year.
Well, coincidentally, Patrick, as the children of CPS and school districts all over Illinois are going back to school, whether they have full funding or not, the property tax bills have arrived. In Cook County, they were delayed through just a few problems with their tech vendor. The total property tax bill for every city, town, school district, and other taxing bodies across Cook County, according to A.D. Quigg, relying on a study that was strategically released by the Cook County Treasurer, $19.9 billion, an increase of $744 million, or nearly 4%, compared with last year. It's the 32nd straight year of property tax increases, according to the report. Nearly all taxing agencies across the county raised their property tax levies this year, the analysis found. About 60% increased them by more than the rate of inflation.
I'm just glad we have property tax caps, which keep spending in line so that residents aren't overburdened with things. But, one of the,
I
if
think
you
he's
ever
being
attended
facetious.
one of my thrilling legislative committee meetings in Naperville 15 years ago, one of our complaints was, a lot of people get elected to local government. They go to the association meetings and they use words like, it's my fiduciary duty. And they talk about it as if it's their job to take as much of the allowable levy as possible because future governments may not get entitled to it. And that really reflects a mindset that the government believes that the resources and land you own actually belong to them, and they'll take as much of it as they can because they may one day need it. And overcollection is very common, and then overspending, and then they've run into some problems later down the line. But it's an incredibly dangerous cycle that folks, it sounds like in Cook County, are getting a little bit of the suburban property taxpayer treatment of late, and they're correctly outraged about it.
Well, out of that 744 million increase in taxes, 600 million of it is being borne by homeowners because commercial real estate has been taking a beating. According to Cranes, the battering of office property values since the pandemic because of new work patterns and elevated interest rates have been the main culprit, pushing up residential bills. As many of the media outlets called it, it's a zero-sum game. If the commercial ratepayers can pay less, then that burden gets shifted over to the residential folks. So not great, but fear not. Inspirational words from our Cook County treasurer, who said, local governments need to learn to do more with less, particularly in these precarious economic times. In a press release, she also said, and taxpayers need to vote. Residential taxes in the north and northwest suburbs increased at a pace more than triple that of the rate of inflation, in part because of recent tax hike referendums approved in off-year elections by an average of 1 in 5 eligible voters. So it's getting expensive out there. What else can you say? Yeah, is that a pain in your neck that I hear, Rachel?
Well, Patrick said the word duty, and I think that's about right. It's kind of duty.
The report that Treasurer Pappas put out included a map, 2 maps, one showing commercial, one showing residential, with blue being coded as the places where the taxes went up. And it's just a sea of blue. But the commercial real estate, especially on the north suburbs and the land around O'Hare, took a beating. So the beatings will continue until morale improves. Well, Rachel, the Tribune has a message for the many, many, many mayoral candidates. Get serious. There's a headline, enough with sexy Alexi, Quigley at Burger King, and Maria Pappas's tongue. And it chided sexy Lexi posts. We've talked about that here. He would be our first openly shirtless mayor if he were elected. And the Tribune notes that while he's doing that, he has agreed apparently to a 30% increase in the minimum wage, quote, which does not exactly signal a change to a more business-friendly environment for the city, given that a prospective business would be able to avoid that costly increase merely by relocating to a suburb or Indiana, the crafty boogeyman of Illinois overspenders. And then Mike Quigley did a stunt at Burger King, which apparently was hard to explain, no Kings photo op. And then Maria Pappas has been very active on social media, sometimes singing, and recently made some news by having her nasty text messages to a supporter of Willie Wilson become public. So the Tribune throws us off to pandering candidates theatrics. Rachel?
I mean, I guess the first thing I need to say is that Mike Quigley going to Burger King is the first time I've heard of anyone going to a Burger King in quite some time.
Well,
so I just want to make that point. I actually
broiling
was not aware that there were still Burger Kings that you could do oppo or stunts like that at. So I mean, I guess kudos to him for creativity there. I guess on one hand, I think that the Tribune has a point, right? As a resident of the city, I want to see candidates with serious solutions who are capable of being serious elevated as a spectator, it's been kind of fun. As terrible as elections have been in the last few years, most of this has been kind of harmless, and it's been kind of fun to watch. And if you're going to tell Maria Pappas to be serious now, you need to go back and ask her to be serious retroactively, I think. We've all seen the calendar. So, I guess a little bit of column A, column B. Can we keep it a little fun while also talking about some serious ideas would maybe be my ideal.
Well, I get the point the Tribune is making. If they are fed up with pandering candidate theatrics, I would just say, you ain't seen nothing yet. They're just getting warmed up, Eleni.
You mentioned this earlier about the Maria Pappas story. And then right before that, you said the beatings will continue until morale improves. And I would say that might be up Maria's alley of what we've learned. How she likes to handle things. So yeah, I would say there is definitely more fun things coming as we get into election season.
Well, in other terrible news, this is a little bit like, when you wrap bacon around something and it's automatically better. So Naperville area high schools are ranked among the best in the state and the top 1,000 in the nation, according to U.S. News and World Report. Neuqua Valley High School in Naperville, part of Indian Prairie District 204, tops the Naperville area schools, ranking 12th in Illinois and 295th in the nation. And U.S. News said 69% of its students, Patrick, can take advanced placement courses through which they can earn college credit with a graduation rate at that high school of 98%. But that is not where Patrick Skarr went to high school. That's terrible.
Quite unfortunate. It just shows my rags to riches story. I really pulled myself up. I didn't get to go to the number one school like so many others, though my wife did. And I won't repeat her commentary on the experience of Neuqua Valley. But what I will say, every once in a while, Naperville, I feel like because of our accolades and the fact we have some affiliates that still publish local news, we are able to highlight the positive news of our community. I did go to the U.S. News World Report, looked at the top schools in the entire state, and I believe CPS had a trifecta. 1, 2, and 3 is the top ranked high schools in the state. So we're tough on CPS, we're tough on Chicago, but hey, U.S. News and World Report says if you want the 3 best high schools in the state, live in Chicago. Look at our 2 extremely happy parents of CPS students on this podcast. They can tell you they love every bit of a CPS education.
Look at Patrick with the fair and balanced news reporting, Eleni.
Thank you. Sometimes, we just got to
It's
share
impressive.
the pride.
Share the love. Share the love, like Bob Marley said.
Yeah, exactly.
It was nice. I was actually fully prepared to ask if Patrick was moonlighting working for U.S. News and World Report, but I guess I didn't need to make that joke. So
Nope. Don't ruin a good moment. Leave a good moment alone, Rachel. And don't make any Top Golf jokes either. Well, that's a good segue, Producer Grace, to the sad trombones of Sounds Terrible. So, who wants to go? Eleni, you've got to be just stacked up with terrible things to share with our viewers. Give us something.
There's a lot, but I would say top of my list this week is the pickup line at school. Okay. It's very hard when you have young children because you have to get out of the car to wait for them. You can't just sit in the car. Well, you could, but my kids would cry. So yesterday was the first day back at school, and I was stressing out because I got there early. I wanted a good parking spot, and that meant that my car was right where all the parents stand to wait for the kids. And so I had to awkwardly stand there facing my car, so I didn't have to communicate with anyone else. And luckily Rocky was in the car, so I was able to be like, "Oh, Rocky, I'm paying attention to you." And I was just like, there should be an unwritten rule that you do not have, or you do not speak to other parents when you are waiting to pick up your children. Like, there should be no speaking allowed. Everyone should sit in silence. And I'm sure now I've been like roasted by multiple parents in the group who I awkwardly like avoided eye contact when I saw them. So right now I'm very much raging about the pickup line. I'm stressed about going back there today, and I've already scoped out other parking spots that will leave me far enough away where I could just pop out and pop back in without anybody noticing me. So
Eleni
Eleni,
is holding together the community fabric.
I think what you could try, because it worked so well for her, was what Vice President Kamala Harris did in the run up to the election. Just plug your headphone into your iPhone and have the wired headphones and be like, I'm on a call, even though the screen was black. Just, I'm on this very important. I'm sorry. Dennis needs something. We got an urgent. I'm sorry. You could try
Talking
that
to
out
Joe.
because
We
it
get
worked
it,
so
Joe.
well.
yeah, I would just like to avoid eye contact altogether, though. Just full cease of human contact is probably my best bet at pickup. So follow me for more tips of how to avoid communicating or speaking to anybody at your child's school the rest of the school.
Patrick, it's a little early for this kind of dysfunction in our parental units over there at Eleni School. But anyway, Patrick, what do you have that's terrible besides antisocial behavior?
Tips to avoiding having to talk to anyone. I am really looking forward. Dennis has graciously suggested I attend an event in downtown Chicago tomorrow morning. I'm very much looking forward to the commute. I'm unaware as to when the toll increase goes in, but my expense report will dutifully reflect tolls. I'm hoping I don't get stuck in a Waymo garage, though I have that habit of just picking out parking garages being used for training Waymos. And I'm looking forward to listening to the CNBC all the way in, Dennis, and I just wait for all of the hot stock tips that an hour and a half of morning commute will provide me.
Don't drink a lot of coffee before you get in the car. But Rachel, what's more terrible than being stuck in a car with Patrick?
I mean, I've never been stuck in a car with Patrick. Maybe it's delightful. I don't know, right? I'll reserve judgment on that particular experience. But my sounds terrible is kind of back to school related, and what I think sounds terrible is people rushing us into fall. Because hear me out. Parents have had all summer with their children. Now we still have a sliver of good weather. It's still summer out. This is parent summer, right? Kids are back in school. Parents should be enjoying that last little bit of nice weather as they can before we're all plunged into the darkness of fall and winter. So I would say to everyone, and hear me out, Starbucks, because the pumpkin spice latte dropped this week. I think it's a little early. Let us enjoy summer for just a few more minutes before we
Give us a
have
little more
to
lemonade.
consider fall. Yeah, give me a little more lemonade. Give me a little more, summer, a little more sunshine before I have to, succumb to the fall and winter.
Well, I think I triggered this conversation because I may have said yesterday that I was ready to put up Halloween decorations. So sorry.
It's too soon. It's too soon.
So that I set you off.
It's too soon. Now, fair enough. Like, I will be the first one ready before everyone else for Christmas, and so you can come at me for that later. But for right now, just let me enjoy summer for a few more weeks.
Well, I actually don't think that's terrible. I think that is an important policy discussion. My terribleness is conspiracy theories, and I'm gonna float one on you. If anyone has tried to traverse just to get from the west of the river to east of the river, it's quite a task. You have to leave your house at about 3 o'clock in the morning and kind of weave your way through. The Block Club Chicago has reported that the Cortlandt Bridge, which connects as a key connector between Bucktown and Lincoln Park, which I used to use, will remain closed for years. And neighbors are quite upset about this. The city's Department of Transportation announced that the restoration will now be a multi-year effort after an assessment found more rehabilitation is needed. And obviously the residents are not thrilled about this. I think it's intentional. I think it's done to prevent a riot. I think it's done perhaps to take everyone's beer, because I did a deep dive on bridge closures and had my recollection refreshed. And Patrick heard me raving about this several years ago. The famous lager beer riots of 1855 in Chicago. Mayor Levy Boone was an anti-immigrant America First Party guy. He banned taverns being open on Sundays, and this didn't go over well with my people and the people of German extraction. Tavern owners were arrested. So tavern owners and beer drinkers went to march downtown. So Mayor Boone announced the bridges should close, and then constables started to fire on the immigrants who were trapped in the middle of the river with the old bascule bridges they had in those days. The skirmish that gave, well, by the way, while they were stuck on the river, the mayor moved some cannons in front of City Hall. Note to Brandon Johnson. So a year later, the beer drinkers ousted the anti-tavern candidates and all of the Know Nothing Party people. So that's the good, happy news. But conspiracy theories can be terrible, but they can be inspiring. And that was a pretty terrible thing to throw at you. But the man could be coming for your beer, Rachel.
Don't take it.
Tell Murphy.
Was that the last time the bridge was replaced? 1886?
It might have been it.
I don't know where this bridge is. I hope I've never been on it, but I wouldn't be surprised.
It's going to be a while before you can be on it again. Well, closing bridges, closing the various ways to get from here to there in the city of Chicago. All of that sounds terrible. So many terrible things happening. Pumpkin spice lattes. And we'll have more terribleness for you next week. For Patrick, Eleni, Rachel, producer Grace, we will see you next time.